listening. Maybe that's the alternative.
I don't know, man. When we have
Just
over
maybe.
10,000,
But I don't know. I don't know.
when we have
I
over
don't know. But
10,000 people in a room saying that that is what you said, I don't think I'm in the wrong for hearing that. I think you're either lying or you didn't represent your view correctly in the way that you described it. I'm a nice guy. I'll allow you another chance to try to re-describe your view. Okay? So I thought you said that leaning on academia, leading on education to, give credence to what I believe, right? My beliefs as a whole is a bad thing. And then you said, no, that's not what you said. So how about you rephrase
it's
it
not
in a
what I
way
said.
that will make sense to me?
So I said elitism, authoritarianism, the established order of things, the way you look at who decides what is the authority and what is not. In like, what's that, bud? Oh, Band-Aids. You go to Alley? The way that you establish what is true and what is not true is all based on authorities. Formal education
What?
has
Bro,
become. Hold on,
this is
I'm
so
not done talking,
this is
bro.
so
I'm not done
hypocritical.
talking.
You literally
Formal
think that Biden
education has
rigged
become.
2020 because
Wow.
an
Thanks for
authority
letting me talk, bro.
because an
No,
authority
thanks for
said
letting me
so.
talk. Thanks for letting me talk. Thanks for letting me talk.
Right, God.
Yeah, I think that formal education has been overrun by people who decide what is true and what is not true. And then tell people like you, who now say they're educated, and they can tell you how the world works. Dude, I want out of the system. I want the entire elite, like established order to take a bath. Like it needs to change. Nobody is crashing the stock market on purpose. Nobody is trying to destroy the stock market.
Wait.
They are trying to give back to the American people the ability to produce things. They're trying to give back to the American people the issue of their currency. They're trying to give people the American, which is, by the way, 100% constitutional. If you read the Constitution,
Okay,
you'd
man,
know
you've been
that
speaking for a
the
while at
issue
this
of our
point.
currency,
Can I butt in
the
here?
issue of our currency, is constitutionally a power that belongs to the Congress, which is the people's house. So
Let me know
he's
when I can
trying to
hop in.
take away. Well, you asked me why I support Trump. He's trying to give back to
Jesus
the
Christ.
people the power that has been usurped from them by the elite group of people. Now, am I mad at the elite people for doing
Hey,
it?
bro,
No, we've allowed them to do it.
This thesis has to come to an end so I could respond. Perfect. Okay. So there's one thing that you said in there that I picked up on. You told us that nobody's trying to intentionally crash the stock market. Donald Trump said he intentionally crashed the stock market, verbatim, explicitly.
I don't care. I don't care if he said that. What is the point of what he's trying to do? That's the whole thing. You can't see the entire, like, it's like you're stuck on one tree. There's a whole forest out there, bro. He's playing the entire field of what he's trying to do.
This is
I just
unreal.
expressed to you.
So this is so unreal to me. It is so unreal to me because you're right. You don't care. And I appreciate you for being honest. In fact, if you go to my main account and you look at the caption of my most recent post, it is, and I quote, MAGA doesn't care. Because you're right. You just simply play pretend. And you've demonstrated that to us on this live. You come up here and you pretend to be this rational person with principles. Okay? But you're not at all. Okay? Because you describe these principles to us. You're like, you love this country. You're a patriot. And you want to defend what's important to core American values. Okay? But earlier, when I pointed out that Donald Trump is the exact opposite of that, he has eroded core American values and explicitly called for the termination of the American Constitution, which underpins American values, right? You told me that you didn't give a shit, that you didn't care, all right? The mask came off when you can no longer just simply play pretend and act like you hold to any genuine principles or hold red lines against politicians. But I
I
mean,
don't care
all of
what
this is
you or
just
anyone else
merely
say he says.
rhetoric,
I
dude.
care what he
It
does.
it's just simply words that you speak so you're not totally ostracized from society. Or in other words, maybe it's also possible that you play pretend with principles to seemingly make yourself out to be a better person than you are. Because if you were honest with yourself about what you think and how you feel and how you're willing to do whatever it takes to support Trump, and you'll never hold a red line against him in your life, you'd have a worse vision of yourself, right? But I just also want to point out here at the end there, you told me that nobody's trying to intentionally crash the stock market, meaning that seemingly you hold to this principle that if one were to try to intentionally crash the stock market, that'd be bad, that'd be wrong, that'd be a very bad thing that shouldn't happen. But then when I tell you that Donald Trump has explicitly said he is intentionally crashing the stock market, guess what? That pretend principle goes out the window, then all of a sudden,
Right.
you
Is the
don't
stock
care.
market up or down today?
Is the stock
Is the
market up
stock
or down?
market up or down today?
I haven't checked the app today. That's a red herring to the position. My claim was that
Oh,
Donald
okay,
Trump intentionally
okay.
crashed the market, and he said so, and that happened.
And what of it? What has happened since then?
What has happened since then? Well, we've had foreign investors pull out of American markets.
It's like
Consumer
it's like if
confidence.
I
You
give
asked
you
me a question, and now I'm going to respond to it. We've had foreign investors pull out of American markets. We've seen a stagnation in American investment in American manufacturing. We've seen big companies such as we've seen big companies such as Stellantis fire over 900 employees. We've seen other countries consider imposing. Wait, what? You're saying it's a lie that Stellantis?
$7 trillion of
Okay.
investment in manufacturing from foreign countries, foreign companies. 7 trillion. That's never happened in history.
Oh, so, like $7 trillion
Trillion
since what?
dollars
Since when?
investment in manufacturing
Since
in the
when?
United States since he's taken office.
Okay, and what's that
Damn
investment
near
in?
$7 trillion
And what's that investment
in
in?
manufacturing plants here in the United
Okay, which one?
States. You got the biggest chip manufacturer in the world. You got car manufacturers. I don't know all of them.
Oh,
Hell,
so
it's a
so
lot.
so yeah, we're building chip plants in our
Apple, $500 billion from Apple. I mean, dude,
okay,
the
Apple
entire
and
world is
chips.
coming home. The entire world is coming to the United States to build things here. Pay
Great.
American workers, pay American wages, get people what they like. Not only that, it's a major national security problem if we don't have chips made here. Steel manufacturers are coming back. Like you are asleep at the wheel if you think that we're safe and China makes all of our steel. The minute China decides to go to war with us for whatever reason, whether it's Donald Trump or somebody else, if we don't
Hey,
have manufacturing here, we're dead.
hey, do you know why
We're
we're
dead.
building more chips in America? Because the Biden-Harris
Why we're building
administration passed a bill called the Chips and Science Act, in which was a multi-billion-dollar investment into chip
balls.
producers inside of America so we could boost our domestic production from what was relatively 1% to 30% in the next 4 years. So this bill was passed through Congress. The federal government was authorized to spend billions of dollars on chip producers to subsidize them to increase their production. Manufacturing
Then
plants
nothing
begun
happened.
construction under the Biden-Harris administration and are now continuing under the Trump administration because of the Chips and Science Act. You just told us that nothing happened. You named the chip producer that is moving to America because of that bill, right? And Biden predicted it all, right? He said we're building the strongest American economy ever, right? And everybody knew that when there's any successes that were caused by by Joe Biden's great domestic policy for the American economy, you were going to basically associate it with Trump, and here you are doing that today. Okay. And it's funny because essentially, in a nutshell, you're saying that because it's happened under his administration, he caused it. Okay. Well, the markets are down 7% overall since his inauguration. Did he cause that too?
I would say his policies absolutely caused it. I'm not in denial that what he's doing is changing things up. I am for a change up. That's what I'm saying. The reason that I'm pro Trump is not because all like I say, you guys get stuck on he said this, he said that, he said this, and he was going to do this, but he said this. Like I don't
We
care.
get,
I'm
we get
looking at the
stuck on
broad
false
picture. Hold
promises. You
on,
don't care about false promises.
hold on.
Thanks
Oh
for
my
being
gosh, dude,
honest.
just let me finish. Let me finish for God's sake.
I'll let you
I
finish
care
when
about
you
the
let
broad
your wife
picture.
finish. Okay. The broad picture. What
Yeah,
does that
what
mean?
is he doing?
What is he
That means
doing?
he's putting tariffs on the rest of the world. I believe personally he's going to try to reduce income taxes on anybody under 300 grand to zero. I believe he's got
So we actually have a
You can
study
laugh
from
at-
the Institute on Taxation and Economics in which did an
Oh,
evaluation of his
sounds
proposed
so-
economic policy. And what it indicates is that every single American making over $395,000 per year will have more purchasing power as a result of his economic policy. However, every single American making under that dollar amount per year will have less purchasing power as his economic policy as a whole is regressive. And if you would like me to
Based on
explain-
what?
Yeah, based upon the fact that tariffs, right, increase the price of goods produced outside of America for American consumers, as well as they increase the price of goods produced by American manufacturers because we source raw materials from outside of America, and because low-income Americans spend a disproportionate amount of their money on the bare necessities to live compared to millionaires who save 20% of their income on average, what we see is they pay more of that tax proportionately speaking. So this means that his plan for blanket tariffs is an implementation of a regressive taxation system that is worse for you the less money you make.
If you only look at that one piece of it, yeah, I could see their mathematics working, but it's not just like one. Like if you're talking just about the tariffs, it's one
No,
piece.
it's,
If you go
it's the
broad
economic
stroke-
policy. It's all of his economic policy. That's the totality of the study.
So tell me this: what's his economic policy include? Just tariffs, the taxation bill.
So
what else?
it's So what we know right now is tariffs and taxes.
Oh, that's it.
Tariffs and tax cuts.
Oh, that's the fuckery there.
Yeah, that's the meat on the bone.
Who produces our currency?
Who produces our currency? I mean, like our money is printed by the Federal
By who?
Reserve.
Okay, and who's the Federal Reserve?
Who's the Federal Reserve? It's a part of the federal government checked by Congress, and they essentially manage the money. Not
Read the
false.
charter. It's a privately owned bank.
False. So what
Read the charter.
You're talking,
Read the charter.
Sir. You're
You could
talking
go
about.
online and
You're
read the
talking about.
charter.
You're talking about the 12 banks that are managed under the Federal Reserve. However, the Federal Reserve is a government agency that is managed by Congress. However, the 12 banks that work under their jurisdiction are private. But this is a
Read
huge
the Federal
fucking
Reserve
pivot.
Act of 1913.
I'm literally.
Read the Federal Reserve Act of 1913.
Dude,
Go
okay,
read the
I'm
Federal
so
Reserve
sorry.
Act of 1913.
Who
That's
appointed?
the bill.
Who appointed
that gave
Jerome Powell?
Nobody in
Who appointed?
Congress
Who
the
appointed?
power.
Who appointed Jerome Powell? Any answer? Also, nice pivot, by the way. I just want to clarify. Really nice pivot.
Well, it's the exact same. That's what I'm saying. Is the whole picture? It's not a pivot at all.
Yes, it is,
What I'm
because I
saying
was
is
describing to
it's
you that
not.
Donald Trump's economic policy
Economics.
reduces the
No.
purchasing power for everybody making under $395,000 per year. Then you're like, oh, the Federal Reserve is a private entity. So no, it's not. The federal board, okay, is checked by Congress, and in fact, even the president has some jurisdiction over the Federal Reserve. Like, for instance, here's a study. This is by the Washington Match. It's titled, Can Trump Fire Powell? Congress May Be Powerless to Stop Him. And this describes that under certain circumstances, yes, the president has some authority over the Federal Reserve. However, that is, of course, limited by the power the Federal Reserves hold, as well as the power of Congress. So, I mean, your claim that it's a completely private entity is utterly fucking false. It is fictitious and it's not true. But I don't want you to pivot. I want you to stay on subject because I want you to respond to
Why
the
did
meat on
that?
the
Why
bone.
did that prove? How did that prove that it's not a independent agency? How did it prove that it's not an independent bank?
Because the fact that Congress
hold on,
and
to
no,
contract-
of course you
No,
asked
no,
me a
if
question.
I
You
go
asked me a fucking question. Why do you start interrupting me when I start answering your questions? Your question is, how does that prove that it's not an independent agency? Because it shows codependence on the checks and balances offered to some extent by Congress and the executive branch of our government. Okay, if it was an independent agency, Congress and Trump would have no say at all.
Right. So let me get this straight. You think that because they allow the president and Congress to ask questions
No,
and on occasion exert some small amount of authority.
the law literally
Over
says
the
that the
Federal
president
Reserve.
can remove a member of the Federal Reserve's board for governor's cause, meaning like they're acting inefficiently, they're not doing a good enough job, and of course it is then checked by Congress, and there's ongoing debate about the extent of this law and how far-reaching that oversight would go. And unironically, by the way, Jerome Powell was fucking appointed by who?
Trump.
In
But
his
he
first
said
term,
this.
exactly. So if it was a private independent agency, how the fuck did Trump appoint their chairman? Did he just ask kindly?
let me ask you a question.
Jesus Christ. No, you're
They've
not going
got
to
a
ask me a
board.
question.
No,
You're going to respond to what
they
I
got
just
a
said.
board.
Because you pivoted from debating Donald Trump's economic policy to you arguing that the Federal Reserve is bad. Okay? That's neither here nor there. And then when I leaned into that and I described to you how
You
it's
need to
not the
learn. You
case
need
that
to
it's
learn how it works, dude. If you think that the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with economics,
it has nothing to do with a debate about Donald Trump's economic policy, but I leaned into it nonetheless, right? And I debunked your claim
they
that it's an
decide the cost of
independent.
money.
You are going to go ahead and stop interrupting me. Thank you very much. So we leaned into a debate about the Federal Reserve. You said that it was a private entity, right? I disputed that. I proved you wrong. I demonstrated their codependence on the checks and balances offered by other branches of our federal government. Okay. And I want to go back to the question that I asked you because I'm not going to lie, man, I'm feeling left out of this conversation. What I think is happening is you want to be able to direct our conversation wherever you want it to be because you know if you were to genuinely answer one of my questions, you'd look really not smart. So let's focus on the meat on the bone. I allowed you to pivot to discussion about the independence or lack thereof of the Federal Reserve, and I told you why you were wrong, and I even gave you a source to justify my counterclaim. But I want you to give the same good faith to my claim about Donald Trump's economic policy reducing the purchasing power for every single American making under $395,000 per year. Also, Pickles, I appreciate you for the raid. I can't hear you when you're outside of the app. If you can't see me, man, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. If you just Google, is the Federal Reserve independent? It says, very first result, yes, the Federal Reserve is considered an independent central bank. Do you know what a central bank is?
So
it's a bank that's been, hold on, let me finish. It's a bank that has been given authority by whatever governing entity there is to produce the currency for that nation. Okay? There's lots of them all around the world. Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish my whole point.
When they label themselves as an independent central bank, all that means is that our government doesn't have unilateral control and say-so over the bank because checks and balances exist. There's an independent...
It is not a branch of government.
It is managed by the branches of government.
It is not managed by the government.
Oh my God, yes it is. I'm telling you, the Congress and the president both have some power over the Federal Reserve.
Dude, stop muting me.
I'm going to tell you the power they have over the Federal Reserve. Are you ready?
You're going to tell me. Dude, I'm telling you right now.
I'm telling you, once again, the Federal Reserve is under...
telling you.
You interrupt me once again, little boy, and I'm going to start spam muting the button. The Federal Reserve is under federal oversight. What does that mean? When a chairman's term is out, right, the president gets to nominate the new chairman. Okay? If there's anybody on the board of the Federal Reserve, the president can kick them out for inefficiency, and that is by law. The Congress also has some say-so insofar as the ratification of the nominations from the presidency or ratification of other members on the board. What you take issue with is that it's really hard to remove the chairman of the Fed because they serve 12 to 16-year terms, and that is
I don't care
almost independent from what the president wants or the president says. The reason that is the case is so the chairman of the Fed doesn't play politics, which is a really good thing. Right? If we were to give more control and say so to the president of America, or Congress to more oversight over the Fed, more than in which they already possess, well, all of a sudden the Federal Reserve is going to start playing politics and they're going to do bad things with your money, either because the president thinks it'll be good for their campaign or they want to set it up to be worse for the next guy. But I would like to clarify and be very clear with my assertion. The board, right, of the Federal Reserve is managed by Congress. The only unelected bureaucrat running an unofficial government agency that is not checked or balanced by anyone is Elon Musk with a Doge.
Let me ask you a question.
No, because you're going to answer my question. Once again.
You didn't ask me a question.
Yes, I did 10 minutes ago. My question was, if you think that Donald Trump is fighting for the middle class, well, explain to me why his tax policy only benefits people making over $395,000 per year while decreasing the purchasing power for Americans making under that dollar amount. That doesn't
I
seem
don't
to
know
be
this. I'm
prioritizing
not.
the middle
I'm not gonna.
class.
I'm not gonna sit here and talk about a study that I haven't read. Here's what I will tell you.
Okay, so
If you think critically
I
about, let me
described.
say something. My gosh, bro,
So you're just telling me that
really?
you're not going to respond to my claim, right?
Just respond to your claim.
I don't.
I said I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk through a study that I haven't read. If I was educated on the study, maybe I could respond to it. But I have no idea what you're even talking about as far as the study.
And
So if you want to send
I
me the
could even
study, I'm
clarify.
happy. I'm happy to read
I
it
could
for you,
even
and we can get
clarify.
back on and talk about
I could
it.
even
But I
clarify.
don't.
I could even clarify in that extent. That's a great answer. You're just saying that you don't want to talk about something that you haven't read. Well, there's parts of it that we could just deduce through critical thought.
I don't even want. I don't even want. Like I feel like you're trying to dodge what I'm getting to.
Everything that you're getting to has been in response to this question. If anybody's pivoting here, it's you, but yet I've entertained it out of the kindness in my heart. So you said that you didn't
This is
respond to
not
a
a
study.
pivot. This is economic. This is the
Sir,
foundation of our economic
sir,
system
I'm
is the Federal Reserve.
Sir, you
It's the
said that you
Federal
didn't.
Reserve.
You said that you didn't want to respond to a study that you haven't read. So there's some things that we can have dialogue on. All right. The predominant reason why the study indicates that it's going to decrease purchasing power for lower income Americans is for the reason that I already gave you around 5 minutes ago. It's that tariffs increase the cost of goods, whether they're produced domestically or overseas, because once again, we source a lot of the raw materials we use to produce American-made goods from other countries. And the less money you make, the higher proportion of your income you spend on those bare necessities to live, which means you're paying more of that tax proportionately speaking. So it's a regressive tax, which reduces your purchasing power the less money you make. So
Right, but
that's
it
like
ignores the
that's like
entire
the
point that
thought
I'm
behind
making.
the study, and I would really appreciate it if you could like respond specifically to that argument without pivoting or talking about anything else.
I am talking specifically about that issue, but you got to let me get to the point.
Yeah, sure. Get to the point that responds and debunks my position that Donald Trump's economic policy is regressive.
Like I'm responding in
Do it.
contrary to that. Right. Okay. I'm not saying it is regressive. And here's the reason. In the old times before 1913, people would say a penny saved is a penny earned, right? That's a Benjamin Franklin, whatever. Why now, if you save money, ultimately, let's just say you put money aside and just put it in a savings account, it goes down in value. Purchasing power, right? Your purchasing power goes down. If I put $10 away when I was 10 years old, today it would be worth way less as far as purchasing power than it is today, 20 years later.
So why does
Okay.
The question
Hold
you're
on.
asking is
I'm not there yet. What you're dealing with a central bank, with the Federal Reserve, money is debt. Okay. Prior to 1913, Congress would issue money based on hard assets. What happens to the price of gold internationally when you let it sit in a safe? The value of the gold consistently goes up. Why? This is why it's in the Constitution. Gold is an asset that long-term gains value. Same as land, your house goes up in price, all those things. As currency inflates, the value goes down, okay? The value of your dollar goes down. If your currency is backed by something tangible, meaning if I had a dollar, this Federal Reserve note that we have now is based on absolutely nothing. It's worthless paper, okay? There's nothing that I can't go to the bank and say, hey, give me my dollar in silver. They'll look at me and like, what the hell are you talking about? In the old days, that's what they did. When the revolution started, Benjamin Franklin wrote, the refusal of King George to allow the colonies to operate an honest money system is probably the prime cause of the revolution. King George was trying to install a central bank on the founders of this country, on the patriots of this country. And they got together and they said, we don't want another slave debtor system that we've come from. We want to have a nation that is built on prosperity and actual ownership. Okay? What we're dealing with right now is a Jacksonian revolutionary type of individual. Trump is a Jacksonian revolutionary thinker.
You have 10
his
more
whole
seconds.
Concept,
you have 10 more seconds.
Okay, his whole concept
10,
is the value
9,
of your money.
8,
well, don't listen to me.
7,
count down while I'm trying
6,
to talk, bud. That's really
5,
mature.
4,
Fuck you.
5, 3, 2, 1. So first and foremost, 1776 is not applicable in 2025 in the slightest. Second of all, King George has nothing to do with a response to my claim that Donald Trump's economic policy is regressive and reduces your purchasing power the less money you make. So at this point,
it does, because the average person's value of their money, if we can go back to an average person working for a regular wage, if the value of their currency every year goes down 3-4%, what happens is they lose value and they constantly fall farther and farther behind if they're working for.
My argument is that Donald Trump's
working for a minimum wage.
policy.
If
their value of their is that Donald Trump's economic policy makes the purchasing power of the average American go down even further. You're describing to us that you hold a conception of monetary policy that would provide like a more stable recourse for the value of the dollar. I mean, it's just all it's I disagree, but seriously, arguing a gold-backed currency is neither here nor there in this conversation, because at the end of the day, the conclusion of your position is that you don't like it when money inflates and becomes less valuable. And my argument is that Donald Trump's economic policy will inflate the dollar. It will inflate the value of a dollar and make it less valuable. Like the conclusion of your position, right, is applicable to Donald Trump's economic policy. It reduces purchasing power for the average American, and I want you to address that. Okay.
I don't disagree if the value of currency continues to go down. I'm telling you is I believe
I'm going to kick you because I spent 30 minutes trying to get you to respond to the claim that tariffs cause inflation. Okay? And you talked about King George, you talked about 1776, but you never responded to the claim that Donald Trump's economic policy reduces the value of the American dollar. So at this point, we are going to move on to the next guest, you guys. If you're in the stream, y'all, make sure to drop a MAGA down below in that chat. We're going to get you up here. It is also worth pointing out, y'all, that if you're watching the live, and the live does get taken down because TikTok loves to ban us, in all honesty, the first thing that you should do is head over to my YouTube channel, link in bio, because I'm always dual streaming over there. That live never gets taken down. What's going on, Moses? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I just had a question. Do you think Trump will get a deal with Putin?
No, I think that he is historically sold out to Putin, and I do know that he's now begging Putin to stop bombing Ukraine, like over 100 days since the election when he said he could take care of it on day one. So I lost faith and hope a long time ago, and I hope that you do too. That's why electing Democrat politicians that actually care about Ukraine is very important to do. And we're going to move on to the next guest. Everyone, go ahead and just give us a minute. What is up, Jordan? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
All right, before we hop into our debate, I got a handful of people to thank here. Devin, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much for the love, Devin. And then Command and Hugo with a 10 pounds. Thank you. As well as Milo with a 5. Travis with a 5. And Dave with a $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you for the love, Dave. Dave with another 10 as well. Chris with the 14 Canadian dollars as well. Thank you guys also
Canadian.
much. As well as Brianna with the $25 over on PayPal. I want to see at least 250W. Brianna's down below in that chat. Brianna says, my parents are also Trump supporters. You've helped me helped me a lot being able to have productive conversations with the fam. Brianna, I understand exactly how that goes and how that feels. I'm so sorry you got to struggle with that too. Show some love to Brianna down below in that chat for the 25. As well as I'd also like to thank Heather. Thank you so much for the $25 over on Venmo. Let's get 250Ws for Heather. My man Connor with a 10, 30 minutes ago. I hope you're still in here. Thank you so much for the love. And oh my God, Hannah with the $100 over on Venmo. Hannah, I really hope that you're still watching. I want to get 1,000 Hannah W's down below in that chat literally right now. Hannah says, Aiden, it was so great meeting you. We're so thankful for the work that you do. It was such an amazing event from Briar. It was so incredibly awesome to meet you as well. And yeah, thank you so much for showing up. That was especially awesome to meet you, Briar. Thank you so much for the love. As well as Grace, thank you for the 20. Khalil, thank you so much for the 10. Paula with a 5. And Danya with a 10. And yeah, we are all caught up. I haven't read out donations for around an hour because I was hyper locked in on that last conversation, but I do really appreciate y'all so much, as well as Brianna with a 5. Anyways, Jordan, can I get a quick W downers from you real quick?
L donors.
Okay, what about
I
like just a
work for my
W for
money.
Aaron? Just donated another 20 on YouTube Super Chat to W Aaron, right? Am I right? And then Sabrina with a $14 Canadian over on YouTube Super Chat as well. Can I at least get a W Aaron?
W Aaron. He probably worked for that money. Unlike you.
Oh, I don't work for the income.
Nah, you got soft hands, buddy.
You got soft hands? I guess I do now. My calluses went away. So are you basically saying if you don't work physical labor, then you don't have a job?
I'm saying physical labor is the groundstone of America, and Trump supports that.
No, you told me that I don't work because I don't do physical labor.
Yeah, physical labor is much more important than these TikTok streams.
So you could argue that physical labor is more important. My argument is that what I do is still important and is still work and is still a job.
Nah.
Okay, so what's a job?
A job is something that supports the economy and the United States as a whole.
So what? So a job is something that supports the economy. So just
Yeah.
like the expenditure of funds increases GDP. So I mean, all of these donations are increasing GDP growth. So seemingly, it does support the economy, meaning that I do have a job.
Yeah, but it's not really a job. It's just
Okay, so
stream
then a
of
job is
income.
not something that supports the economy. So then what is a job?
A job is something that supports your environment that you live in.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, like my whole thing is working as hard as I possibly can inside of my ability to make life easier for as many people as possible. I'd say that's pretty supportive of those around me.
I mean, we can agree to disagree. But I'm just saying you have a sissy job and I have a manly job.
Okay, Jordan, that was the most cringy thing I heard all day. Real quick, how old are you?
I'm 19,
What year are you born in?
2005.
Okay, Mr. Manly Man, why don't you go ahead and tell us why you support Trump?
Because we gotta close them borders.
Oh, we got to close the borders. Were the borders open under the Biden-Harris administration?
They'll tell you it wasn't, but it really was.
Do you think they opened it?
Yeah.
How do they open the borders, Jordan?
They opened the borders by not enforcing the proper security to keep them closed.
Okay, so they just didn't enforce anything new, right? You're telling us they basically sat back, they just took a lack of action, and they let all of the policies that were already in place play out, but those policies weren't good enough, right?
Yep.
So you're basically telling me the policies that were set forth by Trump weren't good enough because those were the
No,
policies
that's not
that
what I'm
they were
saying.
apparently
Because they
riding
were
on.
not enforcing those policies.
So what policies were they
Why?
specifically
Wait.
not enforcing?
Tell me this. Tell me this.
No, you tell me what policies they weren't enforcing so I could know how you think they opened the borders.
I can't tell you the exact policies, but I can tell you why are the borders crossing numbers so much lower now.
I'll
that
answer
Trump's
your
in office,
question once you
under
answer
the same
mine.
policies.
I'll happily answer your question after you answer mine.
So what just changed? I just told you I can't name the exact policy.
Okay, so then
Okay.
how do you know that they didn't enforce policy?
Because the numbers went up. The policy is to keep the numbers down.
Oh, okay. So you're basically saying because there is higher immigration numbers under their presidential administration, they must have caused that with their policy, right? So because we had the highest level of unemployment since the Great Depression in April of 2020 under Trump's first term, he must have caused that through his policy?
No, that was because of COVID.
So external variables can influence things in an economy, right?
Yeah, but
So then how do you know
what's
that
the-
external variables didn't influence higher levels of immigration under Biden and Harris?
what was the external variable?
No,
Please
the
enlighten
question,
me.
what were the external variables, is different from my question. How do you know there weren't external variables?
Because there wasn't. There wasn't a COVID.
So how do you know that?
Because there wasn't. What do
So
you
you're-
mean?
So you're basically saying you know it because you know it, right? So that's a
Yeah.
circular position that is ultimately rooted within your emotions, right?
No,
But like
it's
we're
not
here to talk
emotional.
about like
I
facts
work
and
with
research.
plenty of Mexicans, and I hear about it every single day. El Salvadorians. I work with all kinds of foreigners.
So the answer to my question, how do you know that there was not external variables in which influence higher levels of immigration under Biden and Harris, was you work with Mexicans?
Yes, because they didn't tell me
What?
they came here because of an exterior. What are you talking about, dude?
Jordan, I think the better question is, what are you talking about?
They didn't come here for a reason. Like, what do you mean? There wasn't anything pushing them out of their country.
In the last 4 years?
Yes, that was different from the
Hey, do
past
you
30
want to know
years.
something crazy?
What?
Did
Go ahead.
COVID hit the American economy hard?
Yes.
Does America have the most, the largest, richest economy on the face of this planet? The strongest economy as well?
One of them, but I wouldn't say so.
Okay, well, I mean, good on you, because there are some Nordic countries with some more left-leaning economic models in which are doing it better. I want to expect that from you, but hey, man, the point of my question is America has a pretty damn strong economy. It's only the biggest on the face of this planet, but still, yet when COVID hit, we were hit hard, right? How do you think countries south of America with economies a fraction of the size of our own were hit by the pandemic?
Just the same.
Harder, right? So when the pandemic hit, it hit everyone everywhere, right? And the average economic status quos in other countries was decreased significantly more than it was here at home in America, which gave individuals a significantly higher level of incentivization to want to immigrate to America for better quality of life. But when we put that total and complete shutdown of the southern border because of the pandemic into effect, Title 42, none of these migrants could come in through the legal ports of entry. So they were backlogged and they were placed in lines that were years long. When that order ultimately expired, all of a sudden, the legal means of entry into our country were less efficient than ever. And because they were less efficient than ever, those same migrants had more incentive than ever to use undocumented means of entry. And that's why we saw a massive spike in undocumented entry. So in other words, the
And you think that's a good
problem
thing?
of immigration under the Biden-Harris administration was caused by COVID and Title 42.
So why? Hello?
Hey, Jordan.
So why did the economy go back to?
Jordan's getting a couple phone calls here. Hey, while
I know,
Jordan's
I'm
getting
getting-
phone calls, I want to thank Aaron for the
I am
$20
not-
super chat over on YouTube, as well as Sausage for the $20 super chat on YouTube as well. Thank you, Aaron and Sausage. You guys are phenomenal. Everybody show some love to Aaron and Sausage. Sausage says, let's put this guess in the factories once Trump brings manufacturing back. Oh, because those are the manly man jobs, right?
I am the
anyways,
factory.
take it away. Please respond to my claim.
Okay, so why did the economy go back to normal, but the crossings didn't go back to normal?
So why did the economy go back to normal? So you do think that the economy rebounded from COVID under the Biden-Harris administration and they did a really good job in managing that? Because I thought that
Not
you guys were the
completely,
ones that
but
argued
to
that
a
they
certain
destroyed the
extent, it
economy and
did.
never made it better.
To an extent, it went back a little bit lower than the inflation.
Oh,
It
right.
did to an extent,
Right.
but not
So then
back
you're
to
asking me why like
2016.
immigration numbers didn't decrease under their term? Well, I mean, actually, we had lower levels of immigration in the last 4 months of Biden's presidency compared to the last 2 months of Trump's first term, right? And that was impartially caused by rebounds in economies on the global stage from the pandemic and an executive order that Biden passed. But here, let me ask you this question. I think that Kamala Harris was better for immigration than Donald Trump, and here's why. Because I don't think that Donald Trump had any long-term policy to reduce undocumented immigration into America. Right? Can you name one thing he's ever ran on or implemented that will reduce undocumented entry into this country?
Build that wall, baby.
So you think a wall is a long-term solution to reduce undocumented entry? Why is that?
Absolutely. It makes the entry harder than just walking into a desert.
Okay. And out of curiosity, where is that wall?
In Texas.
Oh,
In
well,
New Mexico.
actually, there's about, 30 miles? So Donald Trump, 50 miles, sorry. Donald Trump built 50 miles of new wall under his first term. He failed. And then when the Biden-Harris administration, right, advocated to get the bipartisan border bill passed, they had obviously worked with Republicans, so it included more funding for more of that wall, which would have been built by them under their administration, than all of in which Donald Trump built during his first term. And he told Republicans to shoot it down. So it's funny because even if the border wall was a great long-term solution to reduce undocumented migration into America, seemingly the Biden-Harris administration, they were the powerhouse that was going to get the most of it built that has ever been built. And then Donald Trump was the one that made that plan crumble. So once again, even under your own views, Donald Trump wants to increase undocumented entry into America in the long term.
No, you just said he tried to build the wall and it failed.
And then under the Biden-Harris administration,
you asked for a plan.
he
That was the
torpedoed.
plan.
And then under the Biden-Harris administration, he torpedoed a bipartisan border bill that would have built more of the wall. He fought against building more of the wall than he ever did during his first admin.
No, because he's trying to get Mexico to pay for the wall.
No, he's not. No, he's never done that.
Yes, he
No,
is.
no. Under the first term, it was paid for via a reallocation by the DOD.
He's trying to get Mexico to secure the border as well, though, which is why he.
But that's
put the
neither
tariffs on.
here nor there. Why are you pivoting out of the conversation? You said
Not
that
pivoting, I'm telling
yes,
you
you
why.
are, because you said that what we need is a wall. Okay, I disagree. I don't think a wall on its own is going to do shit. I think that's a baseless talking point for people with no education on the subject. But even if it was a legitimate solution, the Biden-Harris administration tried to build the most wall that has ever been built, and Donald Trump torpedoed and shot down that bill. Why did Donald Trump do that?
Because Mexico wasn't paying for it.
Did Mexico pay for the wall built under his first term?
No, but he was trying to get them.
So then
to-
why didn't
that's
he
the whole point.
torpedo and shoot down the building then?
I don't know. I gotta ask him.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, seemingly, then that's obviously not the reason he torpedoed it and shot it down the second time.
I mean, that's a pretty broad opinion. You don't know that as a fact.
Yeah, we could induce that conclusion because he built the wall with a reallocated budget from the DOD under his first term, and he thought that it was a great plan. So why would he all of a sudden switch up under Biden and Harris?
I don't know. Just like the liberals switched up on Elon.
Okay, so you want to pivot to talk about Elon Musk? That's cute. It's not going to work. Stay on subject.
Oh, you don't like Elon?
Once again, pivot's cute. It's not going to work. Stay on subject.
Okay. What was the question again?
You already forgot. I've only repeated it 4 times. How about we try this? Name one bill that Kamala Harris ran on that you think would have been bad for a country.
All of them.
So name one.
The the CHIPS Act.
Okay, well, she didn't run on the CHIPS Act. She passed the CHIPS Act with Biden in the last 4 years.
That's
See,
pretty
unlike Trump,
stupid, though.
when she promises something, they get it done. So you thought that wait.
Well, no, Trump promised some stuff and he got it done, like the tariffs.
So actually, no, he was really bad with passing policy he promised. He tried to get the infrastructure bill passed every week for 4 years, couldn't get it done. Then Biden got it done in his first month in office with a war split in Congress. But I want to clarify, what's one policy Kamala Harris ran on that was bad? Because you said all of them, so be more specific by naming one.
I wasn't looking in the Kamala's thing whenever I was voting because I already knew who I wanted to vote for.
So then how did you know it was bad?
Because I know she's a bad person. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
she's
vote
a bad
for
person. So you think that Donald Trump is a better person than Kamala Harris?
Yeah.
So Donald
He
Trump is
aligns
a
with my
rapist.
views more.
Donald Trump is a felon. Donald
No,
Trump
he
tried to
was-
religiously persecute and ban all new Muslims from coming into this country during his first term. Donald Trump has hit on 10-year-old girls, sexualizing them. Donald Trump boasted about walking into the changing room of half-naked teenage girls. What has Kamala Harris done?
I don't want to get you banned, but
So then censor your language and say it with TikTok appropriate terms.
okay, she went she read nighttime stories of somebody to get a better job, if you know what I'm saying.
So first of all, I would argue that being a literal rapist is worse than being a prostitute.
Well, no, you don't know
Right,
if that's true or not.
but your
That's
claim
a-
about her doing that is absolutely false. In fact, it is just another
Your claim
disgusting
about Trump being a
misogynistic
great
position to shit on the woman because she's a woman. All right, but even if it was true, okay, being a P3DO rapist is definitely worse.
So why did what's her name? E. Jean Carroll? Is that her name?
Yeah, but actually, before we talk about Eugene Carroll, you told me that you think that Kamala Harris was a pea stute. We're just going to say that for TikTok. So why do you think Kamala Harris was a pea stute?
Because she was with that guy.
Because she was a woman?
No.
Oh, okay. Then
said
why?
that.
Because she was with that guy?
I don't like how you just put those words in my mouth.
Oh, well, listen. No, I'm going to be very clear with how I feel. I absolutely think that the only reason you say that is because she's a woman and you're a misogynist. But
I'm not a misogynist.
but I'm willing to give you the mic to prove me wrong by giving me legitimate reason to inform that belief as not being consequential of misogyny. So if it's not consequential of misogyny that you think Kamala Harris was a pea stute, what's the evidence? You said she was with a guy? Okay, so you think every person that's with a guy is a pea stute? Hey, man, have you ever had a girlfriend?
Yeah.
So you dated a pea stute because she was with a guy?
No.
Oh, okay. So just because you're with a guy doesn't make you a pea stute. So what made Kamala Harris a pea stute?
Well, you said I'm a misogynist, right?
Yeah, of course. And now this is your chance to prove me wrong by giving me like legitimate.
The only
reason to
person who
instantiate
knows
that
if
she's
I'm a
pea stute.
misogynist is myself, right?
Well, no, apparently I do too. But once again, you do have the mic to prove me wrong. All that's required to prove me wrong is to give me reason to believe that she's a pea stute. That doesn't relate to your prejudice against women. So we're waiting, man. I mean, you have the mic. I'm giving you a ample opportunity to prove me wrong.
Okay, she dated him, and then when she got her promotion, they broke up. Seems quite apparent.
So what's the promotion?
The DE, whatever her job was of California, the DA.
Oh, okay. So she became the DA of California?
Whatever
So-
state she did with the bar exam in.
So states, they don't have like a state DA. There's no
Oh, my
such
bad.
thing as a. Are you talking about a
Was it San
state AG?
Francisco or Los Angeles?
Are you talking
San
about like
Francisco?
are you talking about the like Attorney General of California?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Whatever
her
she did.
relationship. Wait, I have a question. Who did she date to get that position?
I don't know. I don't keep up with that. I just know.
Okay,
she
then
failed
how do you
the
know
bar
she
exam.
dated
And
somebody to
nobody
get that
who fails their
position?
bar exam should be getting that
So
position.
how do you know that? Oh, but apparently a rapist should be able to get into the White House, and she passed the bar exam. It's quite hard. You should try it sometime, but you'd never get into the door of a law school. Anyways,
so?
once again, I know so. Once again, so how do you know she dated somebody to
Jake
become the
Vance
AG
did.
of California?
What happened?
How do you know she dated somebody to become the AG of California?
Because Charlie Kirk told me.
Oh, so if Charlie
no.
Kirk says something, it's true.
Yeah, he actually says a lot of true stuff.
So your basis of like fact is Charlie Kirk.
No, news outlets as well.
Okay. See, this is the problem with America, you guys. Apparently, if Charlie Kirk says something, it's true. So who you're talking about, his name is Willie Brown. He was a mayor of San Francisco 20 years before she was the AG of the state of California. And they had briefly dated around 10 to 15 years before she got that position. So tell me how a mayor from 20 years ago could get her 15 million votes in a statewide race.
Because he put her in the position to get those votes. You don't think so?
What was the position that he put her in? Like the put her in the position to run?
Yeah.
Okay, and how did he do that?
Because he was also
Oh,
What did he
oh,
do?
now you have no fucking clue what to say. That's crazy. No, all that you're trying to do is undermine a woman because she's a woman.
No.
Yes. No. Yeah. That's it. That's ultimately true. Okay. Because if you wanted to have this conversation about
I do the
putting
same thing
people
to
putting
a man.
people into positions of power to be able to run for a public office, well, I mean, you would be like this independent anti-DNC, RNC against the institution as much as possible. Okay. Because we have we have money in super PACs that we have nowhere where it goes that funds politicians on both sides of the aisle to better position themselves for future candidacies in election. Okay. There's so much money in politics that is put there just to fund people's campaigns. You've never talked about that, but that is legitimately something, putting people in positions to run for positions of power that they'd otherwise be underqualified for. But no, your only issue here is with a woman that dated a man that became an AG of a state 15 years later because she got 15 million votes.
Okay, and you're saying that
So tell me how
that
her
she's a
sleeping
woman.
with a man
Hold on,
15 years ago
Hold
got
on.
15 million constituents
Oh
from
my.
California to vote for her.
You're saying I'm only saying these things about her because she's a woman.
Yeah, of course. Because if you
Okay,
wanted
but
to have a
I'm a
legitimate
white straight.
if you wanted to have a legitimate
I'm a white
conversation,
straight
if you
male, and so is
of course.
Tim
So the
Walz,
only reason,
and he's also.
if you wanted to have a legitimate conversation about qualifications for presidential nominees, you would have voted for Kamala Harris. She was more qualified than Donald Trump in every single conceivable sense. And by the way, engaging in a little bit of a hypothetical here, imagine the only reason she was in that position was because she was a woman and she had no legitimate qualifications. In reality, it was exactly as you described. Yeah, I would feel really embarrassed about Trump then, because this lady who was only in that position because of what was in between her legs with no legitimate qualifications just was somehow infinitely more qualified than the billionaire businessman, right? I mean, what does that tell us about him?
Okay, can I finish what I was saying?
Yeah, feel free to continue to tell me that Kamala Harris was a bad person because she was in a relationship while you continue to support the guy that's hit on children and wanted to exclude all Muslims from America, wants to pass economic policy to redistribute wealth from the poor to the rich, raped a woman, committed
Little
34
man syndrome.
felonies, unironically tried to coup and rig the outcome of a presidential election. I mean, it's a terribly embarrassing look for you. So continue to speak.
Okay, so Tim Walz, right? He was handed his position to be the potential vice president. He wasn't qualified for that.
A conversation about Tim Walz is neither here nor there. I liked him, but I want to talk about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
No, because you said I'm only doing this to Kamala because she's a woman, but the same thing happened about Tim, and he's a white straight male, just as myself.
Okay, so what I said specifically as it relates to Kamala Harris is you called her a fucking prostitute.
I never said those words, actually.
Yes, you did. Quite frankly, yes, you did.
No, I
yes,
actually
you
did
did.
not.
Yes, you did. You said, how do I say it without getting bananaed? And then you went on to describe her as a quote-unquote
I said she dated him.
LADEA of the night. And then I was like, oh, so you mean pea-stoot? Let's use that word for
I don't
TikTok
think you know
Live.
what that
And then
word
I went on
means.
to ask you why you think she's a pea-stoot. And then you went on to describe why you think she's a pea-stoot, why you're now shifting the goalposts and acting as if there's not 10,000 people actively listening into this conversation.
Okay, I never called her a pea stoot.
Yes, you
she
did.
Wasn't.
Yes, you did. Stop it. You
She
did.
was she was dating a guy for a raise. That's not a pea stoot.
You have no evidence to justify that claim. You didn't even know who he was. You didn't know his name. You didn't know when they dated. You didn't know what he did. You were
Little
just
man
baselessly
syndrome.
propagating the same misogynistic claims because your IQ is equivalent to my family dog and you've been socialized to be a piece of shit by people like Charlie Kirk and other thought leaders on the right. You've been conned. You've
Little
been
man
indoctrinated.
syndrome.
What is little man syndrome? Is that
That's what
something
you
that
have.
you and every single one of your buddies that support Trump's has because you feel like there's nothing you could be on your own, so you want to join a part of a larger movement that intends to try to destroy this country and that gives you this false feeling of self-importance? Or is it just something that you're going to accuse me of when I'm absolutely dog-walking you with fact, reason, and logic, which is something you know nothing about?
You know what you know nothing about?
How the fuck you got from point A of being like this newborn sweet baby that had parents that loved you into
I'm
being
very
an
sweet.
adult
I
man
help the homeless
that is
every weekend,
calling
so-
the work I do sissy work, screaming about how a random woman you've never met that ran for the presidency was a fucking prostitute. Come on, bro. That's
I do
so
more
that's
for-
that's
I
so
do more than
disingenuous.
you do.
That
Come
is
on,
so
come on.
disgusting too.
Come on, I help my environment and then I do philanthropy on the
So
side.
I once again, I
You
want
do
you to
nothing.
respond to my claim. Who's worse, the rapist or the non-rapist? Who's worse, the person that wants to take wealth from the poor and give it to the rich, or the person that wants to increase the purchasing power of 100 million American workers
You
in the
call
low
him a
middle
rapist,
class?
but why should she wait 20 years to say anything about it?
So actually, let's ask a better question. Why do 60% of women that get raped never report it to anybody in their lives?
I don't know. I'd be telling everybody.
Because people like you exist. There is consequences that come as a result of reporting rape as a woman in America, because there's many men such as yourself that use that to simply blame the victim and act as if they're the bad guy and make their life worse. Shit, she literally got fired from her job, right? She was an author and a reporter for over 30 years. The moment she tells the world that she got raped, she's fired from that position, and 49.9% of her country laughs in her face, votes for a rapist, and calls her a liar. Okay? Do you want an analogy? In fact, I am going to use an analogy. If you were really thirsty, right, and there was a cup of water that you knew was clean sitting right in front of you, would you drink it?
No,
What?
not my water.
Did you hear what I just asked you? If you were really thirsty and there was a cup of water sitting in front of you that you knew was clean, it was your water, would you drink it?
I mean, sure, I'll play along with this, but no. But I'm gonna say
So
yes for you.
you just said, so like you said you'd say yes for me, but like the real answer would be no. So if you're thirsty, you just wouldn't drink water? What?
I mean, if I'm at my house and I see a water and I'm thirsty, I'm not gonna pick up the water. I'm gonna go pour myself a cup.
So if you were
I could steal
thirsty,
somebody's water.
no. If you were thirsty and you had a cup of your water that you knew was clean sitting in
Oh,
front
it's
of
my
you, would
water?
you drink it?
Yeah, I drink my water.
Okay. Right. Without any hesitancy, right? Because you know that it's safe, you know it's clean, you know it's not going to cause you any
Yeah,
harm.
it's my water.
But if you were really thirsty and you got a cup of water from a river that may not be clean, may not be safe, and may cause you some harm in the long term, would you drink it then, or would you maybe hesitate first?
If that's the only option, I would drink it then.
What if it wasn't the only option? What if you could go without drinking it?
Then obviously I would not drink it.
Oh, great. Because it could like potentially lead to more harm against you in the long term, right? There's maybe some negative consequences that would exist there from drinking water from a river. And I mean, the conceptual point here is in the same way, if we could promote and cultivate a society in which would include no negative consequences for grape victims coming out about the fact that they were graped, and we as a society all agreed that grape is wrong, and when somebody grapes somebody else, they're a bad person that deserves to be granted repercussions and not defended, we would see the propensity of women that are willing to come out about their experiences increase dramatically. But that's not reality. We live in a world where, as I already described, victims are blamed, victims are hurt, victims are harmed, and the rapists roam free with no consequences. I mean, shit, in the circumstance, they were elected into the most powerful position known to mankind, right? And because of those negative consequences that can exist for victims coming out about what happened to them, right? Many people do wait 20 years, like Eugene Carroll did. Many people never report it at all.
But why'd she sue him instead of like taking him to jail?
So why did she go to? So
They
she
get
went to a civil
consequences.
court instead of a criminal court because the criminal statute of limitations had passed, but the civil statute of limitations had not passed. Bud.
So she is gonna take him to go to jail eventually.
Okay? So statute of limitations on a crime is basically if this crime was committed past the statute of limitations, it can no longer be litigated. Right? They have no jurisdiction to delegate consequent reprimand or punishment for that crime because the statute of limitations passed. So her statute of limitations to take him to criminal court had passed, right? But she still had the availability to take him to civil court. So in other words, she literally couldn't, because of the law, take Donald Trump to a criminal court.
So he didn't break the law. Okay.
What?
If he's not being held for it in the law, he didn't break the law.
So in the state of New York, there's a statute, or there was a statute of limitations on grape in the 90s. So if you were to have graped a child in the 90s, right, today, you could not be criminally prosecuted. Does that mean that if you graped a child in the 90s, you didn't break the law today?
No.
Good boy. Thank you for using your last 2 brain cells.
Okay, little guy.
You're calling me little guy? I'm going to laugh that one off.
How tall are you?
How tall wouldn't you like to know?
I know that profile picture, you'll level with that coat hanger. Those are usually about like 5'6".
Cute, Jordan. Do you want to respond to what I said?
Who's your little puppy? Who's a good boy?
Not you. You're being a terrible boy. Very bad boy. Now respond to what I said, okay? Or are you like just starting to like freak out and like lose any coherent sense on reality because you just got owned?
No.
Of course, yeah, bro. You're like you're like saying, who's a good boy? You're talking about puppies. You're asking me how tall I am and looking at my profile picture after I just debunked you. So once again, you said that if a statute of limitation passes on a crime that you committed, that means that you didn't commit a crime. All right. I used a hypothetical to prove you wrong. All right. Once again, the hypothetical was we just got this stream taken down for harassment and bullying. All right. We'll either be back up there in like 5 minutes or on another account in 10. The guests today have been absolutely insufferable. Amy, thank you so much for the $20. Sorry, for the 24 pounds over on YouTube Super Chat. Amy says, politics aside, it's obvious that I agree if I'm donating, but separately as a lover of competitive debate, so much respect and admiration. We were shown your debates to study it and argumentative speaking in school here in Ireland. No way, really? That's so cool, Amy. Thank you for the $24 and for letting me know that. That's awesome. As well as Chels Bells, thank you so much for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. And then Sausage, thank you so much for another 20. You guys are awesome. Let's also go and show some love to the donors on Venmo. Lillian, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. Cecilia, thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo from 10 minutes ago. Everybody, please show some love to Cecilia. Cecilia says, hey, Dean, I'm a college student at CSU and I love what you're doing. Would you ever consider coming to Fort Collins? Thank you for everything. Yeah, I went to Boulder for 2 years. I think like if we do end up continuing the events, that we'll make a stop at Boulder, which is like 40 minutes away from Fort Collins. As well as Holden, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo, saying second time donor. I work at Trader Joe's based, and I order in all the frozen foods for my store. The tariffs have been making my job so much harder because Joe's is basically all imports. Here's those to bashing the tariffs. Love you, my man. Well, thank you so much for the $20. Love you too. And Trader Joe's is the best store ever. Great employer, man. As well as Cheyenne, thank you for the $25 over on Venmo, and Rebecca with a 10. You guys are awesome. Wow. As well as Heather, thank you so much for the $25. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're watching and you'd like to support me, I'd heavily implore you to support me over Venmo or PayPal, which you can find in the link tree in my bio, or sorry, we're not on TikTok, in the pinned message, or in the what do you call it? The description of the stream. And yeah, I do really appreciate everyone so much for the love. You guys have been so kind today. Oh my God, Allison, thank you so much for another $50 on PayPal. Allison, thank you so much for the love. Dude, I want to see 500 Allison W's down below in that chat right now. That is insane, dude. Thank you so much, Allison. As well as Christopher, thank you for the $17. John with a 10. And Brianna with a 25. Everybody show them some love. Oh my God, you guys are awesome. Yeah, we got banned on TikTok for like harassment and bullying or something. Yeah, appeal not approved. Bruh, dude. Unreal. I'm going to crash out. You know, taking 3 days off was really nice. Because I didn't have to deal with these fucking burns, man. Oh, dear Lord, dude. All right. Oops, not that posture. Yeah, let me just go ahead and get the phone out of the grip. I probably look weird as hell, like leaning over on the phone and the tripod. Hey, welcome in everybody that's coming over from TikTok. I really appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Yeah, we got a ban on the account that we were on. We are going to go ahead and head over to another account that we have access to. Ellen, I thank you for the $5 over on PayPal saying, oh my God, Charlie Kirk is so scared of you. Yeah, man, he was definitely scared of me at the event. But hey, really awesome update. We actually have a scheduled talk with Charlie Kirk in the next month, I think. So his executive producer reached out and he was like, man, we want to have you in the studio for a sit down convo. Probably in response to the fact that him dodging the debate has gotten, like over 3 million likes, I think, maybe a little bit closer to 2. And everybody is calling him out on his bullshit. Like even Trump supporters. Like, I mean, wow. It is crazy how much the internet came together and called him out for being an absolute runner. Bro is running. Yes. Bro is running. All right, y'all. By the way, we're like getting closer and closer and closer to 1 million followers on Instagram. Oh my God. The day we hit 1 million followers on Instagram is going to be just insane. That is going to be so fucking crazy. Man, dude, that's going to be a landmark for sure. 1 million followers is huge. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. Yeah, we're like 150,000 followers away. And it's funny because I was actually at like 700K yesterday. So we've got over 100,000 followers in the last 24 hours. Anyways, that aside, we're going to go ahead and hop right back into the debates. I'm going to go ahead and spam the @ for the TikTok account down below in that chat. And I'm going to send everyone over there. Also, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone that has been showing love for the first stop in Texas of the Unfuck America tour. That was one of the best times in my life. I loved it so much down there. And then I also really loved meeting you guys. I really loved meeting you guys while I was down there. I think I stood out, in like the hot sun, the pavement. What was it? For like 2.5 hours taking pictures with people. And I felt really bad because even at like the end of 2.5 hours when I just had to go, because we had like to go speak, I felt really bad because there's still a lot of pictures of that I wasn't able to take with a lot of people, and I felt really bad. But it was just such a cool experience to be able to meet some of you guys that showed up. I loved it so much. I really want to do it again. And yeah, that's it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and spam the @ to the TikTok. Just @MIPD, you'll see it down there in the chat. As well as we have a couple people to thank, like Maddie, dude. Oh my God, Maddie, thank you so much for the $100 donation over on Venmo. Dude, that is fucking crazy, Maddie. Oh my God, Maddie says, hope you're well. Happy to be able to watch you on YouTube. Yeah, hell yeah, Maddie. Dude, thank you so much for the $100 donation. That is seriously fucking insane. Thank you. Everybody, please show some love to Maddie down below. Maddie, we all love you here. Show some love to Maddie right now in that chat. As well as, let's see, a couple other people before we go live. Rachel, thank you so much for the $10 donation over on PayPal. Rachel says, keep those hands soft and the tongue sharp, King. Thank you for the $10, Rachel. You know, my hands haven't always been soft. When I was having in the gym, they had all these calluses on them. But, like, honestly, they were uncomfortable. Calluses suck, man. But thank you so much for the $10, Rachel. As well as Rebecca. Thank you for the $30 on PayPal. Oh, my God. 300 Rebecca W's. Rebecca says, hey, Dean, the people from your Discord want to know if you read the live channel during your debates. Actually, sometimes I do. I used to have it open nearly every stream. Now it's a little bit more complicated since I'm also managing like the YouTube stream and I can't have like multiple panels open at once. So right now it's like typically OBS, which I use to stream, and then YouTube on my computer. But every so often I do open it up. And you're right, there's a lot of cool people in there. And then Greeny, thank you for the $20 super chat over on YouTube saying he's a runner, he's a track star. Bro, he ran straight up. Oh my God. Okay, then one last thing before we go live on @MIBDean. The editors on that clip I posted of like Charlie Kirk running from me, fucking 8. I have never seen better editing. Because let me tell you, the editors of like, they took the 1 minute TikTok that kind of detailed how Trump was running from me. That was out of like 3 hours of content, right? Because I was there all day trying to get this guy to talk to me. And they condensed it perfectly from like 3 hours into 60 seconds. They were able to like perfectly construct the narrative of exactly what happened when I was boots on the ground. And I was so proud of them. Really skilled people. But all right, guys, let's go live at MIBD on TikTok. We're there. As well as I'm going to join from my main account. Amanda, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal. You were the best, quite frankly. That's right. Love you, Amanda. Okay. All right. Hello. What is going on, Kay? Welcome in, guys. For everybody tuning in on that YouTube. Dropped my house key. And for everyone tuning in on that YouTube. Oh, wait. Sorry, not YouTube. On that TikTok stream. Welcome in. We were banned on the other account for bullying. I wasn't being the nicest person to the last two guests. They were pretty annoying. And hey, man, I need to get better at that. I need to be a more respectful person. I know. That's my bad. So we're going to be trying to do that right now. If you're one of the first 600 people tuning back into that TikTok live stream and you want to see some debates, all you got to do is double tap away in that phone screen, share out this live stream with a handful of friends, and drop a couple Magas down below in that comment section, and we're going to get you up here for a conversation. Y'all, let's see if we could build this stream back out. And we were at like over 9,000 people in that last TikTok stream, so just know that we will be able to get the ball rolling. It may just take a minute. But hey, if you are one of the people tuning in to the new TikTok live stream and you want to come up here and have a debate because you support the president, all you need to do is hop in that queue and drop a MAGA down below. Drop a MAGA. All right. As well as we're going to invite this guy named Sal Soul up. Sal Soul, please accept the invitation. But yeah, no, guys, let's go to get that first guest up of the night, y'all. If you are in that queue, make sure that you support Trump. We're going to go to get Christina loaded into the live right now. Christina, I really hope that you're a Trump supporter because keep it in mind, we're only looking to talk to Trump supporters. Hello, Christina. Do you support Trump?
I didn't mean to hit it. I was letting my dog outside.
No worries, Christina. Have a good rest of your night. W dog, WU. All right. Moving on to Summer Lee. Summer Lee, please be a Trump supporter. Actually, looks like Summer Lee left. Moving on to Leah. Leah, please be a Trump supporter. Leah left too. Thank you guys for leaving. By the way, I do appreciate it. Let's go get Lisa up here. Lisa, please be a Trump supporter. All right. Yeah, shout out to account 11 for real Maze. Yeah, this is the backup of backups. Not that many people spamming MAGA down below in that chat. Once again, that's just because we're on like the backup of backups. The best way to get more Trump supporters in here for debates is to drop a couple likes for the stream, share this out with a couple friends, copy that link, it does the same thing, and spam that comment section. But what's going on, 1,000? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
You do? All right, real quick, what time is it?
It's 2:33. I'm in California.
Nice. All right, here real quick before we hop into our discussion. Girl Things, thank you so much for the $30 donation over on PayPal. I want to see 300 Girl Things W's. Says the beast from Grand Junction, go forth and make truth ring. Dude, I appreciate you so much for the love. And I mean, because you included Grand Junction in your message, it makes me wonder if you're from here as well. But thank you so much for the $30, as well as Maxine. Thank you for the $15 over on PayPal. Everybody shows Girl Things and Maxine some love, as well as Chris. Good to see you, brother. I hope that you had safe travels. Thank you for the Galaxy, man. But take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
Could we do it where you tell me what you don't like about?
Yeah, sure. I don't like the fact that he wants to consolidate power, seemingly consolidate a lot of power to the executive branch of our government. I think he wants more control, even if it's at the expense of civil rights, liberties, freedoms, as well as checks and balances. And I think he's demonstrated that to us in 2020 when he tried to steal the election from Biden, 2022 when he called for the termination of the Constitution, or most recently by ignoring orders from the Supreme Court and actively stating that he's not going to follow them. Alongside many other things, yeah.
So, yeah, those are pretty solid points. I would have to disagree, though, because he is the Lord of our universe.
Get out of here, bro. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, y'all. Yeah, he is the... I wish that more Trump supporters would just say that, quite frankly. Berkeley and Caleb, guys, thank you both for the 5. Yo, what's going on, Punex? Do you support Trump?
What's up, Dean? I do not. I am a hardcore leftist, but I want...
Based. I had to kick you not only because you don't support Trump, but like also I'm pretty sure that you're driving. But hey, man, nonetheless, thanks for popping up. And man, if you're one of the 2.1 thousand people tuning into the live, we're on the backup accounts right now because we got banned everywhere else. So yeah, guys, if you could share this live out with a handful of friends, etc., it'd be really helpful for the stream. What's going on, Catherine? Do you support Trump?
I mean, I don't really know. Like, I'm...
Okay, we're going to move on to the next guest. The best place for you to be, if you don't know, is honestly just to be watching the stream. Maybe I could give you a couple of reasons why you do know. It was really good. It's great, quite frankly. Moving on. Here we go. All right, what's going on, Max? Do you support Trump?
Hell no. But I want to ask you a question. So, a friend of mine,
I'm sorry, Max. Just looking for debates. Hope you understand. I appreciate you for coming up, though, man. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, everyone. We got Sophia loading up. Sophia was spamming MAGA down below in that comment section. I swear to God, to me, if you're lying, Sophia, you're going to get banned. Do you support Trump?
Hi.
Do you support Trump?
Ooh. Well, my voice is like, I'm sorry. I'm also watching this on YouTube. I just wanted to say, like, you are really big inspiration on me because I've been, like, really into politics recently, and it's really comforting to me.
Sophia, I love you. And I think that is very kind of you. And I think that you are a phenomenal person. And I don't want me removing you from the live to come off as rude. And I do really appreciate that. But we are only looking for Trump supporters. She was even spamming MAGA in the comment section. She was even spamming MAGA in the comment section. Oh, brah. Oh, brah. Y'all, please don't do that to me. I love y'all, but please don't do that to me. What's going on, Elena? Do you support Trump?
Hi, Dean. I do.
Okay. How old are you?
16.
Okay. You got to be at least 18 to be on TikTok Live. Goodbye, quite frankly. Moving on, here we go. We got Taylon loading up in the box. Here we are, everybody. All right, guys, let's get that next guest up in here, y'all. What's going on? Taylon, do you support Trump?
From now on. Oh, when I come home, downstairs.
Taylon's doing something. She seems a little bit preoccupied, so quite frankly, we're going to kick her. All right, moving on to the next guest here, y'all. Here we go. What's up, Kay? Do you support Trump? Kay left really fucking quickly. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna lose my mind, quite frankly. I'm gonna lose it. That's right. It's gonna be gone. It's gonna be lost. It's gonna be lost. Moving on to the next guest, EC Kicks, loading up into the box right now. If you're one of the 2.7 thousand people tuning in, thanks for being here. Make sure you're double tapping. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're spamming that comment section before I lose my mind. Hello, EC. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, why? He left. Bro, why did you leave? Did he got like stage fright or something? I don't know, but he left. Okay. Bye. I guess he just wanted to come up here and tell us that he supports Trump, but that's it. All right, this next guest is named Cryptic Van Life. This is a 50-50. Hey man, are you liberal? Yeah, they're liberal. They left. All right, guys, we're going to try to just pull from that comment section. Go ahead and drop a MAGA down below if you want me to pull you up here. That's right. Let's try to get Tyler up here. Everyone just go ahead and just give us a minute, y'all. Really just looking for debates. It's not working out, though. 3,000 people in the live, not one person that wants to debate, regardless of how many people you think are spamming MAGA in that comment section. They're typically either trolls or liberals. Like, I don't know. I wish that y'all would stop doing that. Like, look at this. This guy, Joshy, that's loading up into the stream. He's been spamming MAGA all day. What's up, Joshy? You support Trump?
I do.
You do? How old are you?
18.
Can you please stop fucking with the mic, man?
Pardon?
Oh, you said pardon. What time is it?
It is 10:30. Well, 10:40.
All right, unfortunately, we are just looking at debate individuals that are from America and at least 18 years old, y'all. So go ahead and just give us a minute to get that first guest of the live up here, y'all. Just still looking for that next debate, y'all. He was British, y'all. Everyone, what's going on? Adrian?
Oh my gosh. Hi, Dean. I love you.
Hi. Oh, hi. I love you too. Thank you so much for popping up. But we are just looking to debate Trump supporters. Moving on. Quite frankly, holy shit. Looking for that next guest. What's going on? We got CumFW loading up. Hi, do you support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 18.
You're 18. All right. So why do you support Trump,
man? I just agree on a lot of his policies and also my religious beliefs. I wouldn't support Kamala Harris. I would rather support Trump.
Okay, what's your religion? Are you Christian?
I'm Catholic.
Catholic. Okay, first of all, Rip Francis. Second of all, Francis, the Pope of your church, really didn't like Trump or Vance. He actually ordered one of his cardinals to give Vance a talking to about compassion, and he's been in vehement protest of Donald Trump's immigration policy and treatment towards migrants for like the last 3 months. Before he died. So, I mean, do you agree with Francis? Do you agree that we should protest Donald Trump's treatment of immigrants?
Um, I don't. I feel like that
Dude.
immigrants shouldn't be allowed to
Dude, not the question I asked you. Do you agree with like vehemently protesting and speaking out against Donald Trump's treatment of immigrants?
What you're saying? Wait, what are you saying?
I feel like I made it clear. I guess I could repeat myself. Do you
Yeah,
agree
repeat
that
yourself.
we as a people should all vehemently protest Donald Trump's bad treatment towards immigrants to try to get him to stop because it's really terrible?
I disagree. I
just told you
support.
Pope Francis's view, okay? So
Mhm.
don't give me any of this religious bullshit, okay? You think that the Pope, right, via a succession of popes, right, from Saint Peter, who you believe Jesus gave the ability to start his church, start the Catholic Church to, and these popes can even like speak in an unfathomable sense when they sit in their chair, their papal chair, under very strict circumstances. I mean, they're like the closest humans to God, all right? The most enlightened humans alive. So let me ask you this. Why do you disagree with a goddamn pope? As a Catholic, why do you disagree with a pope?
So okay, I got it. Like, all right. Thank you for letting me on here. I give up.
Wait, before you leave, like seriously, let's just try to have a good faith conversation here. As a Catholic, why do you disagree with the Pope?
I don't know. I disagree with the Pope because I feel like, like somebody who illegally came into the country shouldn't be allowed. Like, somebody shouldn't be illegally allowed to come into the country.
But dude, he's like the Pope.
I
Oh, listen,
don't
thank you
know,
for the
man.
meteor shower. Like I mean, I feel like it's so cut and dry for you. It's like so cut and dry for you. You're a Catholic, okay? Who's your leader? Well, I guess who is the leader of the church on earth today out of humans?
The Pope, but
The Pope.
here,
He's your religious leader on earth, right?
yes,
Right?
he's my religious leader, but he's the Pope, but like I don't agree on like every single thing he agrees on. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
I mean, arguably, the Pope has a closer relationship with Jesus than you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would agree too, but
So, like, the Pope is more likely to follow the true teachings of God than you, right?
yeah, but
Not to mention the Pope, under certain circumstances, can literally be unfathomable, right? Which means under certain circumstances, the Pope can do nor say no wrong.
yeah, okay.
So thank you so much for the money again. So if you're telling me, do you think that Donald Trump aligned more with your religious values than Kamala Harris, and the Pope obviously disagrees, and you're a Catholic, seemingly we should both give more credence to the Pope's position.
Here, let me tell you. The reason that I voted for Trump was because Kamala Harris's beliefs on like abortion and like just other stuff like that. I don't know. I'd rather vote for Trump than Kamala Harris.
Kamala is how you pronounce her name.
Oh, my bad.
So so let's start here. Do you agree with the New Testament when it states that all sins are equal in the eyes of God outside of blasphemy?
Wait, repeat that. Sorry.
Do you like agree with the view of Christianity that according to God, all sins are equal in his eyes outside of blasphemy?
Yeah.
Okay. So should it be illegal to tell your children that Santa Claus exists because it's a lie?
No, but
Okay.
that's
Well,
different.
so no, we just agreed that it wasn't different because we just agreed that those two sins are viewed identically in the eyes of God. So if it shouldn't be illegal to lie, how come it should be illegal to get an abortion? If we're going to operate our legislation off of a standard of morality,
I think that it should
off
be
of your standard of morality, which is your faith.
I think that it should be illegal. Abortion should be illegal because you're killing, you're aborting.
Right. And that's like a sin, right?
Yes.
Did you or did you not agree 10 seconds ago that all sins are equal in the eyes of God?
I guess I did, yeah.
Okay. So if it shouldn't be illegal to lie, why should it be illegal to get an abortion? See, the obvious answer here is that, well, that's the end of the conversation. Using your faith-based beliefs to operate a criminal justice system is, logically speaking, incoherent. It leads us to a plentiful amount of contradictions. The resolution to this is not for you to reject your faith and become an atheist. Necessarily, a better resolution for you is to embrace your faith, but hold those values to you and not to superimpose them on other people by using it as the foundation in which you believe we should operate our criminal justice system off of. All right? If you're going to tell me that abortion is wrong because of your faith, sure. All right? But if you're going to tell me that abortion should be illegal because of your faith, problematic. So, what is your secular view outside of your faith-based beliefs to justify that abortion should be illegal?
So I don't know. I've seen like videos of abortion, and I've looked it up that babies that have been aborted 12 weeks or before, not before, 12 weeks or after, can feel the pain of when they're being aborted. So
it's about when you can and can't feel pain. I mean, well, first of all, like the current understanding of neurobiologists is that fetuses gain the ability to perceive pain after they gain the ability to deploy consciousness. And in fact, I know that the current consensus is that fetuses gain the ability to feel pain at around 28 weeks, which is quite late, much later than what my cutoff would be for elective lethal abortions. But further yet, to build on top of that, I don't think that we should use one's ability to feel pain as a standard to determine if it's right or wrong to cause them pain. Like, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's okay to kill and eat chickens?
yeah.
Yeah, do chickens feel pain?
Yes, but that's different because it's an animal.
But I mean, think about it this way. I mean, if you're telling us that abortion is bad at 12 weeks because that's when you believe fetuses gain the ability to feel some pain, who do you think has like a better understanding of their perceptions of pain? A fetus at 12 weeks or a chicken?
Wait, repeat that. Sorry again.
Yeah, who do you think has a better who do you think has higher levels of perceptions insofar as understanding the pain that they're feeling? A fetus at 12 weeks or a chicken? Who do you think could feel more pain?
Probably chicken.
Right. So if you're telling us that it becomes wrong to cause a fetus pain at 12 weeks because it could feel some pain, well, I mean, like, seemingly, if we were to logically follow this position, because a chicken can feel more pain, it's even more wrong to harm a chicken.
Yes, but I don't know. I feel like chickens, like everybody, people eat chickens. It's an animal, which is different from a human, which is being aborted, and also can possibly.
But I mean, all that tells us is that the reason why you think it's not okay to get an abortion has nothing to do with the fact that it can or can't feel pain. But then, like, once again, like, the ultimate defeater to your position is that under our current understanding of neurobiology, fetuses cannot feel pain until around 24 through 28 weeks.
What are your thoughts on like fetuses being aborted around that type 24 to?
Yeah, if it's like an elective lethal abortion, I think it's wrong. Good thing I've never heard of anyone ever doing it. Point blank, period. I mean, that's about it. Good thing I've never heard about a single person ever getting a late-term elective abortion. Have you?
All right. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked it up.
You know, on a real note, I actually have been looking it up for the last 3 years. I've been trying to find a singular circumstance that I've never been able to.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you for letting me talk on here. I don't know as much as you do, and this is my first time ever doing this, so.
Yeah, bro, appreciate you for coming up and being seemingly good faith and more respectful than a lot of other people I've talked to today. I hope that you have a good rest of your day, bro, and I hope you continue to listen into the stream.
Yep, you too.
Take care, man. Take care. What's going on, Rivers? Do you support Trump?
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, I'm 14, but I've been.
Bye, Rivers. We're gonna move on to the next guest. We got Kinsey loading up. Got to be 18 to be on the live. I'm sorry, Rivers. Oh my God. Yo, Nika, thank you so much for the $35 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Nika. That is so incredibly kind of you. Everybody, please show some love to Nika down below in that chat. Nika says, your debates have been my podcast for the last month. Keep it up. America's proud of you. W's Nick. Thank you so much for the love. As well as Jesse, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo as well. And Morgan with the $5 over on Venmo. Kayla with a 1, and then Olivia with a 5. That is so incredibly kind of you. As well as, oh my God, Sheldon! Thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. I want to see 500 W Sheldons down below in that chat. That is so incredibly kind of you. Sheldon says, keep it up, future president right here. I don't know if I'll make it that far, but I know what I want to do with my future is just to make the biggest impact possible. But that is seriously so incredibly kind of you to say. And thank you so much for the $50. And hey, if there's anybody watching that would like to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal through the link tree in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. They all go straight to me. Compared to like what? I get like 30% on TikTok, 30% on YouTube. Venmo and PayPal is definitely the way to go. Plus, you'll get a notification at the top of my phone screen. I could read it off, give you a shout out, etc. But anyways, what's going on, Kinsey? How we doing?
Hi. Okay. So I actually have a kind of off-topic question for you. I'm from Canada. I want to know if you know anything about the Canadian election going on.
I know very minuscule amount because a couple of the organizers from the Unfuck America tour worked in Canadian politics for a long time. But I don't know enough to have like an educated conversation. But Kinsey,
I was just gonna ask you who do you think would be a better pick? Because Carney, he really has no he was a politician. He'd nothing else. And then Paul Poilievre, he's kind of like a Trump. And I
listen, here's what I will say. Probably the guy that's least like
I like what he's doing for the working class, but he's kind of doing what he's doing for women, what he's doing for Trump, and I don't like that, but what he's doing for the economy is better.
Okay. Well, I think that you probably gotta go find somebody debating Canadian politics.
Where the fuck do I find that? Where do I find that?
I don't know. Not here. Here's what I will say.
Okay,
you
sorry,
said this guy named Paul or something was more like Trump.
Okay.
That probably means you shouldn't vote for him.
That's what I'm thinking. But thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you for popping up. Kinsey. Have a good rest of your day, guys. We are just looking to have some debates, though. What's going on, Reagan? Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, Reagan. Why?
Because I think that if we're all gonna die, we might as well die in Trump's hands.
Okay, why?
Because I think that if he's gonna ruin America, it might as well be him.
Okay, well, I don't
Resurrection Day is coming, and yeah.
I think... Okay, I'm so happy that you're bursting out in laughter. Okay, thank you for being a troll. That was going to be crazy. Resurrection Day's coming. Jesus is going to come back, and we're all going to die, and we need to die in Donald Trump's hands. What an argument. Honestly, very creative troll position. I feel like we've heard it all, and then somebody like Reagan comes along and surprises the hell out of us and shows us that we have not.